Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Throne of Steel episode number 196 based on novel. So let's start. Long Houchen smiled and continued, the Samo province is the farthest province from the central province in the territory of the devil. Unless the god of devils only leads his anti-heavenly dragon clan and all the devils to come as soon as possible, otherwise, it will take at least 20 days to lead an army from the central province to our side. Breaking through the defenders outside Yulongguan, at least 5 or 6 nearby devil provinces were all exposed to us, and their defense strength was extremely limited. What we fear most now is that the god of devils is desperate to lead a large army to directly attack the southeast fortress and Wan, which are nearest to the central province. Therefore, we must attract the attention of the god of devils. As the first god of devils of the devil's clan, when the devil pillars got broken, the other devil gods must be able to feel it. In the union, only my power can destroy the pillar. Therefore, I believe that when god of devils feels the death of the tree devil god, he will know clearly that I am on the side of Yulongguan. However, the devil army here has completely collapsed, and it will take at least 5 days to convey the details of the war, and should not be any faster than that. And it also takes 20 days to get here. Therefore, we have plenty of time now. So we must let the god of devils know as much as possible about our actions. Xiao Hua said, Xiao Long, what are you going to do? Slaughter the devils in several neighboring provinces? Long Houchen shook his head and said, no. The Holocaust is damaging to heaven and nature, and among the devils, the real pure devils are only a part of them. I once came into contact with an organization of devils, which is made up of people and devils. They secretly rebelled against the god of devils and accumulated some strength. Moreover, I also heard that the head of this organization is a very important devil god in the devil's clan. This strength may not be enough to affect the whole war situation, but if we can enlist their help, we will have a better chance of victory. If the Holocaust is carried out hastily, it will certainly deter this organization from coming into contact with us, and it will also arise a common hatred of the enemy. Xu Yongxiao said, ask the tiger for its skin. Long Houchen said, I don't think so. The ultimate goal of this organization is actually to integrate with our human beings. The member I came into contact with told me that if humans eventually defeated the devils, they just wanted us to leave them a territory that can be autonomous and not too big. And then they will gradually assimilate by human beings in their interaction with human beings. Kia said, then what do we do? Long Houchen said, the war is cruel, even if we do not carry out the Holocaust, we must attack the main force of the devil's clan. And if we want to make a heavy blow to the devil's clan in the shortest possible time, then we need to split up. Look. As he spoke, his right hand pointed several times on the map. He pointed all in the location of some nearby provincial capitals. The most powerful and important resources of the devils are gathered in the capital. The devil's clan has always been strong outside. The external defense force is always strong, while the real internal strength is relatively empty. Didn't the god of devils take away a large number of devils? We will take this opportunity to destroy their foundation. Therefore, I will target the 6 provincial capitals closest to Yulongguan. Kill the main force of the devil's clan in these provincial capitals and do some damage. We don't need to kill too much, but it is enough to plunder or destroy the resources saved by these capitals. The devil has a total of 24 provinces, and the 6 provinces in the north account for 1/4. According to the characteristics of the devil, most of their resources are concentrated in the capital of each province. If the plan succeeds, it will be very difficult for the devil emperor to shut down the southeast fortress directly. He must consider the instability of the rear while attacking the union. For Long Houchen's strategy, everyone nodded one after another. In fact, before the battle, there was already a general battle plan. Long Houchen just said it in more details at this time. Kia said, that's it. After the rest and recuperation, we will divide our troops into 6 routes and go deep into the devil's clan to fight. The 6 groups should keep in close contact with each other, Long Houchen said. If you find that there is a remaining devil god in that province, let me know as soon as possible. I will be there as soon as possible to destroy its devil pillar. Compared with resources, the pillar is the root of the devil's clan, and it is also the foundation of the existence of the devil's clan. Lin Xin said, what we fear most now is that god of devils will be so desperate to put all his forces into one place. If he ignores our actions and still wants to lead his army to attack Wan or the southeast fortress and use this as a breakthrough to burn and loot inside our federation, we will also become very passive. The point is, our federal resources are much richer than the devil we can rob, but so can they. Long Houchen nodded and said, I have seriously considered the problem you are talking about. It could happen. After all, it takes enough time for the god of devils to lead an army to catch up. Therefore, I estimate that the most likely thing for the god of devils is to split up. Xiao Hua's eyes looked up. How? Long Houchen's four simple words coincided with what he had in mind. Long Houchen said, the god of devils wants to get rid of me, and we stirred the wind and rain in the north. He won't miss the chance to have a war with us. Therefore, I suppose that he will probably lead a group of the strongest devils to come to fight us in the shortest possible time. This group of devils is likely to be part of the 54 devils he mobilized, as well as part of the anti-heavenly dragon clan, moon devil clan, and star devil clan. The god of devils has absolute confidence in his own strength, so he won't bring too many strong devils here. The total number may not even exceed 1,000. In fact, under normal circumstances, such strength is enough to defeat us. Because the god of devils is not aware of the participation of our ancestors. On the other side of their splitting, the god of devils' attack target is the most likely to target the southeast fortress. The devils may have known that we are deploying troops. However, what he knows about some important deployments within our federation cannot be too accurate. He must be thinking that the southeast fortress where the warrior's temple is located is still the weakest. However, they don't know that we have averaged the professions of the 6 temples. Moreover, before we set out, we also arranged for some of the forces of the Assassin Temple to reinforce the Wan Shoguan and Southeast Fortress respectively. The god of devils has mobilized a terrible number of troops this time, and he will leave at least 20 devils to command the army. If they go straight to the Southeast Fortress, it will indeed be a great threat to us. However, the Southeast Fortress is not so easy to handle. After the previous Holy War, all the fortresses were fortified. At the same time, once the specific movements of the Devil Army are known, Wan Shoguan and Jiolingguan, which are closest to the Southeast Fortress, will also send support at the first time. Most importantly, there are now 9 ancestors in every fortress. Once that fortress is attacked, the strength of the ancestors will be able to reach the fortress within 1 to 3 days. Then we gather the strength of more than 40 ancestors. Even if the enemy is strong, it is led by more than 20 devils. However, it is by no means easy to break through our heroic hurdle. It may even be a big loss to them. After listening to Long Houchen's analysis, everyone could not help but be shocked. Xiao Hua's face could not make an expression, but the appreciation and admiration in his eyes were clearly revealed. He thought to himself, it was not because of luck that Xiao Long became the first person in the Union at such a young age. He was not only very talented in practice, but also calm and meticulous in mind. With this son in control of the federal situation, the victory in the decisive battle against the devils was likely to be much bigger. Long Houchen's guess was exactly the same as what he had in mind, so he stopped talking and just silently looked at Long Houchen. When the strategy and tactics were determined, the next step was to divide the troops. The Legion of Sharp Dao was divided into 6 routes, respectively by Long Houchen, Kia, Chen Yinga, Wang Yuan, Han Yu, and Zhong Fangfang. Each army had 3 eternal heroes. Sai Maxian followed Chen Yinga's group, Lin Xin followed Wang Yuan's group, Duan Yi followed Han Yu's group, and Yang Wenjiao followed Zhong Fangfang's group. Wei Ting followed Kia's group. The army divided into 6 routes and set out at the same time. Long Houchen was responsible for the most central of the 6 target provinces, so that he could immediately rush to other provinces where devil gods appear to destroy the devil pillars. Long Houchen, although there was no partner to follow him, he had the strongest strength, and was also assisted by Xiao Hua. The overall strength was not under the other 5 groups. After the Legion of Sharp Knives, which originally had only more than 10,000 people, was broken into pieces, it became more flexible, just like real 6 sharp knives, straight into the northern hinterland of the Devil's Clan. The game of survival between the Temple Federation and the Devil's Clan was finally in full swing. Devil's Clan, Devil's Imperial Palace. Basong, the tree devil god, is dead, and his devil pillar has been destroyed. The face of the god of devil changed color. He felt it as soon as the tree devil god's pillar was destroyed. This was the 3rd pillar that had been destroyed. Below stood dozens of devils. Each had a strong aura. They were the foundation of the Devil's Clan, but also the most powerful group of existence, devil gods. Those in the Devil's Clan were all powerful existence of the dominant side, but at this time the atmosphere made them unable to breathe as they all stood there quietly, and they didn't not even dare to look up to the god of devils. Just only a few in the front row looked up to him. The tree devil god Bu Song was dead. He was responsible to look after Yu Longguan. The destruction of the devil pillar undoubtedly meant that Long Haochen had made a move. Your Majesty, I have been told to get accurate information from there as soon as possible. It's just that the city of Xin is too far away from Samo province, and it will take 3 days at the earliest for accurate news to come. The moon devil god Agares said respectfully. He knew very well that what the god of devils was most eager to know was whether it was Austin, Griffin, or Long Haochen who destroyed the pillar. If only Long Haochen destroyed it with the blood strength of Austin and Griffin, then the problem was still relatively small. However, if Austin and Griffin were not dead, then that would be a big problem. The devil god's eyes were still bleak. If the devil god were to die, he would not feel distressed, as he could always find another replacement. However, the devil pillar was the real foundation of the devil's clan, just like the frame that propped up the mansion of the devil's clan. 3 devil pillars had been destroyed. It seemed like a small number, but what if it continued? What about in 10 or 20 years? How many pillars would be destroyed? Vashak, the god of devils, cast his eyes on the star devil god beside the moon devil god. Vashak nodded and said, after receiving the news, I immediately used prophecy only to see if Austin and Griffin appeared. It shows that it's Long Haochen who destroyed the devil pillar, and this should be accurate. But for some reason, I felt the aura of life in him, not the body of the undead as in the prophecy of life. Hearing what Vashak said, the god of devils felt relaxed. He nodded and said, this is right. Long Haochen saved Yi Xiale, which is the spirit left by the goddess of nature. It can be said that it is the most vital existence on the mainland. With her, it may be possible for Long Haochen's heart to recover. At least she will bring Long Haochen a strong aura of life. Vashak suddenly said, I see. No wonder. After the last life prophecy, the god of devils' confidence in the prophecy of the star devil god increased greatly, and with his accurate judgment, the face of the god of devils looked a little better. As long as the original Austin and Griffin were really dead, and it was just Long Haochen, then it didn't really bother him. However, Long Haochen must also die. He had part of the blood of Austin and Griffin. Once they let him grow to an uncontrollable level, then it would also be a fatal blow to the devil's clan. Your Majesty, are we still going according to the original plan? Sami Jina, the undead devil god, asked respectfully. The god of devils frowned. Are you ready? Sami Jina nodded and said, the army will be sorted out in 3 days at most. Although the number cannot be compared with that of the last Holy War, the millions of troops integrated this time are elite of all ethnic groups. With the leadership of your Majesty, we can destroy them very quickly. The King of Devils nodded and said, well, everything goes according to plan for the time being, Agares. I want to get accurate information from the north within 3 days. Yes, the moon devil god Agares replied respectfully. That's it. You each get ready. The god of devils stood up, waved his sleeves, turned and walked behind the devil's palace. Po, who was standing beside him, hurriedly caught up. After hearing Long Haochen's name again, Po clenched his fist. As soon as the god of devils left, the devils presented their immediately relaxed, and their faces were no longer as tense as before. The familiar devil gods greeted each other and went out of the devil's palace. The star devil god Vashak leisurely walked with the moon demon god Agares, and the 2 devil gods walked slowly out of the devil's palace, looking a little worried on their faces. Third brother, what do you think? As he walked, Agares asked Vashak, who was beside him. Although this was in Modu, the conversation between the 2 people was still transmitted, and even the god of devils could not eavesdrop on their conversation due to their practice levels. Vashak frowned and shook his head gently. Agares was so familiar with him that he could not help but be surprised to see his expression. Don't you like the operation of our army? There is still a fundamental gap between the overall strength of mankind and ours. Your Majesty is even more determined this time. Can't we defeat the human race? Vashak sighed and said, Second brother, do you remember what I said after the big prophecy made by Long Haochen, Austin and Griffin? The existence of Long Haochen has completely threatened the rule of our clan. And it was the only chance then. He deliberately stressed the only 2 words which made the moon devil god Agares take a deep breath. You mean that Long Haochen has become a big threat now? Vashak, the star devil god, nodded and said, according to the news from the north, Long Haochen may have won the recognition of the sealed divine throne of eternity and creation. And this sealed divine throne has never had an owner for more than 6,000 years. Since its arrival, it has only played a symbolic role in human race. This is enough to prove something. Moreover, it is owned by Long Haochen. Not only that, I suspect that Austin and Griffin are not dead. Long Houchen can live in this form, why can't Austin and Griffin? Since Austin and Griffin can be reincarnated, their vitality must be extremely strong. Moreover, according to my research on the blood contract, if the blood contract ends, even if the owner is alive, the power of the blood contract will gradually weaken. And Long Houchen can rely on the blood of Austin and Griffin to destroy the devil pillar of Bu Song, the tree devil god, which means his blood contract strength is not weak. Moreover, in this prophecy, I also felt that there was a strong force around Long Houchen. Hearing Vashak's words, Agares was completely shocked. Third brother, why didn't you say that in front of His Majesty just now? Vashak smiled calmly, why should I say it? Even if I did, can His Majesty believe it? In the presence of so many devils, maybe he will blame me for shaking the morale of the army. I've already died once, and I don't want to die again. At this point, his eyes shone with cold light, and no one knew what he was thinking. The moon devil god Agares also became silent and patted Vashak on the shoulder. Third brother, go back and have a good rest, maybe we will have to leave soon. He strode away. Looking at the figure of the Agares, Vashak sighed. Second brother, do you really think I don't know anything? If it wasn't for me, he shook his head hard, and after a long sigh, Vashak turned away. He left with a pondering look. Agares returned directly to his moon palace and back to his bedroom. Agares sat on his favorite throne and closed his eyes, as if he were thinking silently. In a full quarter of an hour, as if he had decided something, he suddenly got up, went to the bookcase, and pulled out an inconspicuous book from the middle floor of the bookcase. All of a sudden, the bookcase issued a slight snap sound and slowly moved to the left. The sound was very small, only a little more than 10 seconds, then a door appeared in the rear of the bookcase. When he entered the door, the bookcase closed by itself, and the extracted book returned to its original position. A faint purple light lit up from Agares, illuminating the dark aisle around him, and after walking deeper inside for more than 10 meters, he went down a staircase and there was light. Who? A deliberately subdued voice sounded. It's me, Agares said faintly. A figure shrouded in black appeared quietly in front of him. How's the situation? Agares and the man in black went into a dark room nearby. The layout of the room was very simple. There was a bed, a table and 2 chairs. There was also some food on the table. Agares did not sit down, he went into the room and stood still. The situation is very delicate. It's hard to say yet. However, according to Vashak, god of devils, operation this time may not be successful. Vashak stressed that the last plan to destroy Long Houchen and his Light Dawn Demon Hunter group was the only chance. Long Houchen is still alive, which means that the opportunity has been lost. In other words, it is very likely that the Devil's clan is really going downhill. Can Vashak's words be trusted? The man in black whispered. Agares nodded and said, it should be trustworthy. That's what he said. Besides, Vashak has always had a good relationship with me. I even doubt he already knows something. I need a chance to talk to him. What should we do then? The man in black asked again. Agares thought for a moment and said, according to the original plan of the god of devils, after assembling a large army this time, he will directly march westward. Break the southeast fortress closest to Modu, our heart city, and then go all the way west, deep into the heart of the Human Temple Federation, and destroy Holy City directly. He wants to force the Temple Federation to fight us in the Holy City. Long Houchen is bound to come back then. It was done in one battle, completely aiming the human race in one strike. At the same time, he will take advantage of this holy war to plunder in the human world, not only to plunder property, but also to plunder a large number of people back. And eliminate all humans for thousands of years. But then he doesn't want to destroy the whole human race. He wants the army to withdraw after draining out the human essence. Of course, some of the strong human beings' leaders must be killed in the whole process of the war, and the one he aims first here is Long Houchen. This is indeed a good way, simple and direct, to suppress human beings with young scheming and absolute strength. Did the god of devils change his mind when he heard that the tree devil god had been killed in battle? Asked the man in black. Agares shook his head and said, at least so far he has no intention of changing his mind. This is indeed the best way for the devil's clan. Do you know why Agares summoned more than 50 devil gods to gather in Modu and let them all carry their own devil pillars? The man in black was stupefied and said, isn't it to concentrate on waging the holy war against the Temple Union? Agares sneered and said, others might not understand, but I do. The god of devils is afraid of Long Houchen. What he fears most now is that Long Houchen is going to lead his Light Dawn Demon Hunter group deep into the Devil's clan, specifically targeting us, the Devil Gods. In that case, it would be impossible to guard against the human race. Agares continued, the God of Devils told me that Long Houchen is now very strong. With God of Devils practice level, if he said that Long Houchen is strong, then I'm afraid that Long Houchen's current practice level is not something that ordinary devils can fight against. That's why he called most of the devils together to avoid being beaten by Long Houchen one by one, and at the same time he can concentrate his efforts on waging war. It can be said that the strategy of the God of Devils is not exhaustive. So, what do we do now? Send a message to Long Houchen, the man in black asked, feeling confused. Agares shook his head. No, wait a minute. I have decided that this holy war is also an important opportunity for us. But even if we communicate with Long Houchen, we have to wait until we have accurate information. This time, there must be no more mistakes. When we have accurate information, you will go there yourself. Yes. With a dull sound, the huge devil pillar instantly broke into countless pieces flying in the air. Long Houchen was suspended in midair, and the huge white wings of the armor of eternity spread out, making him look like a god falling from the sky. And just below the devil pillar, a devil god had completely lost the aura of life, and his devil god crystal core was in the hands of Long Houchen. The fighting in the 6 northern provinces was drawing to an end. The army of sharp knives divided into 6 routes was invincible, and the capital of the 6 northern provinces of the Devil's clan were all breached without suspense. Among them, Long Houchen found 2 devil gods, and killed both of them. Even their devil pillars were defeated. At this point, 5 devil pillars out of the Devil's clan's 72 devil pillars of the devil gods were destroyed. Lao Xiao, what's the situation in the city? Long Houchen asked Xiao, who was beside him. Xiao Hua smiled and said, everything is going well. Before we came here, Kia had almost solved the problem here. All the supplies were carried away by the magician with a storage ring. This devil pillar is also destroyed. What are we going to do next? Long Houchen said, according to the calculation of time, no matter what, the God of Devils should have got the accurate information. He should have done something by now. After we concentrate our forces together and break through another province towards the south, we will play hide and seek with the God of Devils. At the God of Devils palace. What? Looking at the moon devil god Agares in front of him, the God of Devils was furious. He suddenly stood up and paced back and forth inside the room. Agares stood respectfully with his hands down, looking at the restless God of Devils. His heart trembled slightly, but he did not show it. Good for Long Houchen. After walking for 5 minutes, the God of Devils stopped. His eyes narrowed slightly, and his anger gradually extinguished, replaced by a hint of appreciation. To be able to make the most correct judgment and put it into action in the shortest possible time, killing 3 devil gods one after another. Destroy the capital of my 6 northern provinces, he is trying to lead me there, the God of Devils said coldly. The moon devil god Agares nodded and said, my judgment is the same as that of your majesty. This time the news should be very accurate. The army led by Long Houchen is not a large number, but it is composed entirely of elite members. According to the report of the spies, there are more than 20 strong people in his team, and all of them are not weak. It may even be the gathering of the highest levels of the 6 temples in order to gather such strength. Therefore, the human strongholds should be empty. Are we going to attack the southeast fortress directly according to our original plan? The God of Devils narrowed his eyes slightly. After thinking for a moment, he shook his head and said, no, Long Houchen is trying to shake the roots of our clan. Now the 6 northern provinces are in chaos. And if they are not dealt with, I'm afraid it will endanger our rule. The smartest thing about Long Houchen is that he did not slaughter wantonly, but only destroyed the economic lifeline of my 6 provinces and destroyed and plundered the provincial capital. This will lead to a fatal blow to the economy of the 6 major northern provinces. Will our people over there remain calm and safe? Without them, all ethnic groups without food sources will have civil strife on their own. Before long, the north will be in chaos, and if it does not calm down, the chaos will certainly continue to extend to the south. If the coverage area is too large, and we fight in front, there will be chaos in the rear, and it will be difficult to say who will be the winner of this holy war in the end. We must focus on the north first and drive them away as fast as possible. The smartest thing about Long Houchen is to attack and save what the enemy must save, forcing me to give in. The moon devil god Agares nodded and said, Your Majesty, let me lead the moon devils. I am confident that even if I cannot kill Long Houchen, I will force him and his team back to human territory. You can still act according to the original plan. As long as there is a crisis among human beings, we shall not be afraid of Longhauchen and his plan. The god of devils nodded gently and said, "You are right. With your prestige among the clan, it is not a big problem to contain the 6 northern provinces. As long as we plunder enough supplies from mankind, other problems will be easily solved. However, have you ever considered this? What if you fail to stop Longhauchen and lose the fight?" The moon devil god Agares was stupefied for a moment. "Your Majesty, does Longhauchen already have the strength to defeat me?" The god of devils shook his head and said, "Not yet. However, his practice level is not weak, but the key is that he has 2 imperial weapons with him. There is no doubt that the sealed divine throne of eternity and creation was won, and he has a shield. At that time, when he saved Yi Xiaolei, he activated the superpower on the shield to repel me, otherwise, how could he take Yi Xiaolei away in front of me? It will not be easy to deal with if he is sure that there are more than 29th level strong men with him, including his Light Dawn Demon Hunter group. Moreover, we have 7 or 8 devils in Inner Land. If we just let him lead the army to continue to attack, we shall suffer a serious crisis." Agares said, "So, what does your Majesty suggest we should do?" There was a cold light in the eyes of the god of devils. "I'll let him have what he wants. Last time, he said that he wanted to fight me and die in my hands. I gave him that honor. This time, I shall give him that glory again to see if he can come back to life again." After saying this, the god of devils returned and sat down on his throne and said in a deep voice, "Agares, pass my orders. Half of the Moon Devil clan and Star Devil clan will be divided. You choose 20 devil gods to accompany them, and then ask Samijina and Marbus for more than 200 people above level 7 to go with me tomorrow morning." Po. Father. Po, who was standing by, hurried forward a few steps. The god of devils gave him a cold look and said, "You will also go to battle. I will send you 20 people as pioneers. Go tonight. Your task is to find the exact location of Longhauchen and his army and wipe it out when we get there." "Yes." The excitement in Po's eyes could not be concealed, and he immediately fell on one knee to answer the order. The god of devils said in a deep voice, "I know that you have always wanted to kill Longhauchen with your own hands. Over the past few years, your practice level has also advanced by leaps and bounds. However, you are a pioneer, do not rush forward, and do not rashly fight with Longhauchen. It's all about the army. If you are found by Longhauchen, you just need to lead your people to entangle him and send the news back at all costs." "Yes, father." After Po saluted the god of devils again, he couldn't wait to turn around and leave. Looking at the figure of Po's departure, Agares could not help speaking out. "Your Majesty, His Royal Highness is in a very high spirit. I am afraid he might make some mistakes." The Devil Emperor smiled calmly. "How can there be progress without setbacks? He is my son, and Longhauchen can't do it even if he wants to kill him. Just let him touch Longhauchen a little. I'd like to see which one of them is stronger. If Longhauchen hadn't spoiled my plan, I would have passed on the position of the god of devils to Po." Hearing him say this, Agares was startled and immediately understood that his royal prince should be stronger than he seemed. The god of devils, Fengxiu continued, "When you give orders, call Samijina, Marbus and Wallifer to come here." "Yes." Agares had vaguely guessed the purpose of the god of devils' action. He sighed in his heart, said nothing more, and quickly withdrew from the devil's palace and went away. Modu had been preparing for this for a long time. At the order of the god of devils, there was a surge of wind and clouds around the whole city. An hour later, the 4th pillar of the devil's clan, the undead devil god Samijina, the 5th pillar, the hell devil god Marbus and the 6th pillar, the bear devil god Wallifer excitedly came out of the devil's palace. As soon as he left the devil's palace, Wallifer waved his arm vigorously. "4th brother and 5th brother, it seems that His Majesty still trusts us most. He gives us such an important task. Ha ha. I'm sure Agares and Vashak are gloomily hitting their heads to the wall in their own palace right now." The Devil's Clan's 72 pillar devil gods were also divided into factions. The Moon Devil God and the Star Devil God were known to all as good friends, while the relationship between the Undead Devil God, the Hell Devil God and the Bear Devil God was even closer. Simply compare the overall strength of these groups. The overall strength of the Devil's Clan, Hell Devil's Clan and Bear Devil's Clan combined would be even higher than the Moon Devil's Clan and Star Devil's Clan, because the comparison in the Devil's number was really out of proportion. But they were always at the bottom of the rankings. Samijina snorted coldly. "There's nothing to be happy about. Yes, we are on a good mission this time. But we must also succeed in breaking into the human fortress. Don't think that humans are so easy to deal with. Moreover, His Majesty's entrusting us with important tasks does not mean that he has more trust in us. It's that he thinks we can't threaten his rule at all. Wallifer looked at Samijina somewhat puzzled, with an inquisitive look in his eyes. Marbus, the Hell Devil God, said, "Fourth brother is right. Don't think that Agares and Vashak only have the power of their own race. They are friendly with many devils. Regarding their overall strength, we are no match for them at all. Moreover, the individual strength of Agares and Vashak is the most important. If something happens, your Majesty might choose new. 5. Speak carefully." Samijina glared at him, and Marbus immediately drew back his words. Wallifer said curiously, "Is Agares really that good? I'd like to see how good he is when I get the chance." Samijina whispered, "You don't have to try. If my information is accurate enough, even if the three of us add up, we may not be able to rival Agares' opponent." What? This time, not only Wallifer, but Marbus was also taken aback. How can Agares be so strong? Marbus asked with a lost voice. Samijina nodded and said, "He's stronger than you think. He did behave very humble in front of His Majesty. But in fact, I have reliable information that Agares' practice level is definitely above level 9 of rank 7, or perhaps even to rank 8. Haven't you noticed? In the last 100 years, wherever His Majesty goes, he will certainly take Agares with him. It seems that he has the closest relationship with the second, but in fact, he is on the lookout for the second. Agares and Vashak together can even pose a threat to His Majesty. Last time His Majesty tried to force Vashak to death, and he did it directly, not just because of Austin and Griffin. His Majesty really intended to change the Star Devil God. Vashak's practice level is not much lower than Agares, and his great prophecy is too powerful in battle. It was at the Devil's Palace that day, and the Devil Pillars of Agares and Vashak were not around. Otherwise, they may even fight His Majesty. In the end, His Majesty failed to kill Vashak, and at that time I noticed that His Majesty looked at Agares at least 5 times when Vashak carried out the prophecy of life. That was clearly a wary look. And, if I remember correctly, when the prophecy of life was carried out at the last moment, Vashak was able to use the power of a terrifying prophecy to attack. It was not that His Majesty was not sure of how to deal with both of them, but he was not sure his chance of winning over the battle if they two joined hands together. That was why Vashak's life was saved at the last minute. Wallifer's previous excitement disappeared after listening to Samijina. He always thought that although he ranked 6th, his practice level would not be much different from the other devil gods. Hearing what Samijina said, it turned out that Agares and Vashak were so powerful that his morale suddenly dropped a lot. Samijina smiled and said, "You don't have to be discouraged. Most of the time, too much strength does not necessarily mean a good thing. His Majesty's practice level has reached an unimaginable level, and his future goal is to become a god and then pass his throne on to Poe. Although Poe has made rapid progress, it is still far from enough compared with Agares and Vashak. Do you understand?" When Marbus and Wallifer heard this, their eyes lit up. Samijina saw that they understood. He then smiled and said, "Maybe our ranking will change at that time. All right, let's go. No matter what you say, we must first finish the task given by His Majesty. This is an amazing task. The wealth of mankind is beckoning to us." Both the Temple Federation and the Devils were surging undercurrent, and an unprecedented war was in the silence before the outbreak. At the time of the discussion among Samijina, Poe had already set out with 20 strong men of the Anti-Heavenly Dragons clan and headed north as fast as they could. "That's a good idea. It's much easier to move forward or retreat if it's just us," Lin Xin said excitedly. Long Haochen nodded and said, "Pass down the order. Han Yu, you will return with your legions and be ready to pick us up at the border outside Yulongguan." "Roger." Han Yu agreed and immediately got up and left. They had just completed the destruction of the capital of the 7th Northern Province of the Devils, and the Legion of Sharp Knives had also completed its concentration here. Over the past 7 days, it could be said that the Legion of Sharp Knives had moved to the north non-stop. They were like a strong wind everywhere they went. However, in terms of time, the Devils must have taken action. If they go further, they must attack the south, and they would be much more likely to encounter the Devil reinforcements. Therefore, after discussing with his friends, Long Haochen decided to let the Legion of Sharp Knives withdraw to Yulongguan first, and he, together with the people of Light Dawn Demon Hunter Group and the Eternal Heroes, would continue to march on to the next province of the Devils. These people who were left behind were all the top 9, and no matter what happened, they could at least guarantee the speed of withdrawal. Even if they did not encounter the reinforcements of the devils, the next target would be their last battle to lure the enemy. Take a rest here for an hour, and then we'll leave for Garohang province. Garohang province was located in the north-central part of the Devil's clan. Although it was still far away from the central province, it was also parallel to the Jiolingguan, where the magic temple located, and was very close to Yulongguan. At this time, they were in a mountain depression 100 miles outside the provincial capital of the Devil's clan, which had just been defeated. Although there were many ordinary soldiers in the northern provinces of the Devil's clan, it could be said that there were few who could pose a threat to them. Otherwise, they would not have been able to drive straight in and defeat 6 major provincial capitals in such a short period of time. According to the news from the rear, the garrison stationed outside the Chumorguan had deployed 100,000 troops to encircle and suppress them, but there was no devil control. It was obviously just for camouflage. If they really encountered, the defeated side could only be the devils. Long Haochen let her new command the retreat of Sharp Knives' army. One of the purposes was to find an opportunity to give a heavy blow to this devil's army, to further reduce the pressure at Chumorguan. Chumorguan was now the most vulnerable out of Da Xiongguan, where almost half of the manpower was secretly transferred to another place. However, there remained 9 eternal heroes. Although the number of defenders outside Chumorguan was more than that of Yulongguan, their overall strength was far weaker from the 200,000-men army of the devils that got defeated by Long Haochen outside of the Chumorguan. The Legion of Sharp Knives was the real elite of mankind, coupled with the leading of Han Yu, the sealed divine knight. They were not afraid of his opponent at all. Long Haochen, who was thinking about the next countermeasures and judging the possible movements of the god of devils, suddenly looked up and looked at the southeast with slight puzzled eyes. Although the cultivation of Xiaohua and Xu Yongxiao surpassed him, in terms of mental strength, he was still the most powerful of all. It was not too much to say that he was even the most powerful of mankind. Being in the hinterland of the Devil's clan, Long Haochen remained vigilant all the time. The scope of his spiritual exploration was more than 10 miles in diameter, and any movement would be noticed by him at the first time. A devil is coming towards us. Their strength is not weak, at least level 8. Long Haochen frowned slightly. Then I'll go? Kia asked Long Haochen. Long Haochen shook his head and said, no, we'll just wait for him to come over. That devil came straight towards us and obviously he had already found us. If only one devil dares to come to us, then that devil must have something to rely on. I don't think he is here to fight us. At this point, there was a smile on his face and he thought to himself that if he guessed correctly, the devil might be the one he had been waiting for. The other party came very quickly, and less than 10 minutes after entering the spiritual perception of Long Haochen, that devil already appeared at the top of the mountain beside the valley. Because it was in the valley, Long Haochen's position was not so hidden. When that devil saw them, he immediately stepped down, holding both hands high at the same time, showing that he was not hostile. Soon, she approached. From the physical point of view, it was a woman. The whole body was shrouded in black, including the head. People could not see her appearance clearly. Stop! Yang Wenjiao stood up and with a heavy sword in his hand, he was blocking the path of the female devil. The woman in black stopped. I mean no harm. Long Haochen, you are still alive. As she spoke, she immediately raised her hand and took off the black hood from her head. Although Long Haochen had guessed the purpose of this sudden encounter with the Devil's clan, when he saw the man in front of him, he still froze with an incredible look in his eyes. Why are you here by yourself? Stood in front of Yang Wenjiao, dressed in black, was the favorite daughter of the Moon Devil God Agares, the Moon Devil Princess, Yu Yi. 5 years that they had not seen each other, Yu Yi did not seem to have any obvious change. The lifespan of the high-level devil was much longer than that of human beings. 5 years for her did not leave any traces of time. It was just that her eyes looked quieter, and her practice level was much stronger than before. It was at least the 8th level peak, which was close to the 9th level. How can I gain your trust if I don't come in person? Yu Yi's face had a trace of bitterness. 5 years had passed, and a lot of things had changed. However, in her heart, the deepest shadow remained the same. At the beginning, after she got the news that Long Haochen had died in the war, she was immersed in deep grief for a whole month. She knew very well that the news she had brought to Long Haochen was part of the God of Devil's trap. Not long ago, after she got the news that Long Haochen was not dead, she could not believe it. She could not believe that Long Haochen could come back to life after the God of Devils had confirmed his death. It was difficult for her to describe her feelings at that time, and she did not know whether she should be happy or vigilant. This video will end here.